Samudro again of IMAP, continuing with the questions on the path of awakening. So I'm replying to this question, how to get rid of the ego. So first of all, who asked the question? And who is asking to get rid of? Which part of you wants to get rid of your ego? It sounds like it's just one part of the ego trying to get rid of another part of the ego. Somewhere, one part of your ego heard this message that the ego is bad. So I shouldn't have an ego, or I want to have a good soul. I want to be awakened, right? So who is it that wants to be awakened? Okay, it's actually a very important question on the path of awakening. Who wants to be awakened? Why do you want to be awakened? What motivates you to go beyond what you are now and to go somewhere when actually we know the answer is just be who you are, be here and now. So it's always a great contradiction on the path of awakening. Why do we need a path? Are we not awakened already? All the masters have told us we are already awakened. But oh yeah, nice words. We know, but we know we're not. We know we're not awakened because we're still suffering. We still have reactions. When people say some insult to you, you have a reaction. When you're not getting what you want, you feel miserable, you feel sad, you feel angry. We have emotional reactions. Where do those reactions come from? They're part of the ego. The ego is that part of you that's asleep. And in our sleep, we are constantly in a nightmare. All right? So, but who wants to get rid of the ego? Somewhere in our deep sleep, we got this message. Oh, it's a perfect world when you wake up. When you become enlightened, oh, everything is wonderful. That triggers a part of us that wants pleasure, that wants joy, that wants to have something more than what we are. All right? So, then you instantly think, I am not okay as I am. Enlightened masters are great. I must be like that. It triggers our greed, our spiritual greed. I must have something more. And then it also triggers our negative self-evaluation. Oh, I am not good enough as I am. I am bad. They are good. I also want to be good. Or another part of the ego that gets triggered is, the masters, to be a master is great. I don't want to be just awakened. I want to be an awakened master. Why? Why do you need to be a master? Because it's again that negative self-judgment that as I am, I'm no one. I'm not good. Or it could be even that part of the ego feels I am bad and I have to prove to everyone that I am good. So I will be a master, then I will be the great knowledgeable one, then I know the answers to everything, then I'm the special one. All right? So again, it's like not resting in the being. It's not accepting who we are right now. So when we ask the question, how to get rid of the ego, who is trying to get rid of the ego? Why do you want to get rid of the ego? It's the ego that wants to get rid of the ego. You're not accepting yourself as you are. It's ridiculous. All right? So let's rephrase the question. How to be aware of the ego? That's a more accurate question. Not how to get rid of it, but just how to be aware of it. It's not saying something is wrong or right with the ego. Just be aware. Just to be conscious. Oh, at this moment, I am talking from my ego. Or at this moment, I'm talking from my being. So let's go back to this basic concept. I'm not saying it's 1,000% true, but it's a very useful concept on the path of awakening. that the ego is the sleeping part of us, and that sleeping part causes us to have nightmares, and then we suffer. And the non-ego is the being, it's our true self. And if we connect to that part, then we are without suffering. We're in joy, we're in bliss. So it's a helpful concept. But again, it's not, 100% perfect, but useful. All right. So how to be conscious of the ego? Well, first you have to be able to know what the ego feels like. So ego can be described like a bubble, like an air bubble. It's beautiful, but it's something not really real. That's why we say such words like, someone can prick our ego, someone can burst our bubble. That you're feeling very joyful, you got some good praise from other people, you're feeling life is great, and then someone says a bad word to you, or like you feel really good in your life, then your husband, your wife says, oh, you're da-da-da-da, you're nothing, why are you saying so great words? Just nonsense. Your ego is crashed, right? So that sleeping part of us is reacting to what other people say or what we think about ourselves. So how to be aware of the ego? Well, it's like learning the taste of something. It's like how to describe to someone what does an olive taste like, or what does a cherry taste like. Hold on. All right, here I have a cherry, very nice cherry in season now. So you know what this cherry tastes like, perhaps, because you've tasted a cherry before. If you haven't tasted a cherry before, how can you describe it? Maybe say, oh, it's something like a strawberry. No, it's not like a strawberry. Is it like a raspberry? Not a raspberry. So it still depends on a comparison to other things that you might have had some experience of. So what is the ego? It's that part of you, that reacts, has emotional reactions, either positive or negative. It's you lose your centeredness. Someone says something nice to you and you feel, oh, bigger, right? It's like your bubble expands. Someone says to you something negative, you feel deflated. The air of your balloon has gone out. The air of your bubble has burst, right? So these are ways to learn the taste of the ego through experience. People praise you, people judge you, you will see how you react. When you know yourself, when you know your truth, you don't care what people think. When you don't know yourself, then you are hanging on what people say to you. Okay? Once you then know, oh, this is my ego reacting. And if you can follow the concept, as we're saying in spirituality, the ego is always going to cause you to suffer, that actually then you understand this expansion is also going to be a suffering. What goes up must come down. If your ego expands, it's going to deflate. Deflated ego is more easy to feel that it's suffering. Expanded ego, when we're in the high, we don't see that it's going to be a suffering as well. But actually, both the suffering. It's a duality. Expansion, deflation, both are suffering. So we need to have that taste of the ego. We have to observe how we react and which part of us is reacting. It could be our mind is reacting. Somebody praises you and you take that thought and think, yes, that's who I am. It could be somebody, again, says something bad about you, and you take that in, I don't want to be like that. Or your mind reacts also. that I am this or I am not like that, or I have to show them I'm not like that. It can be emotional reactions. You get angry, you get depressed, It could even be physiological reactions. You feel a boost of adrenaline when something is going the way you want it. Then you feel low energy when things are not happening the way you want. So we have to always watch, be observant of our reactions on all levels. Okay? Whatever takes us out of our centeredness, whatever takes us out of our connection to being in our true self. Okay? So our true self is that part of us is just watching, that is observing whatever is happening. It has no reactions. It's a neutral observer. People praise you. Okay, that's their praise. They're talking about themselves more than they're talking about me. People judge you negatively and you observe, okay, they're still talking about themselves. I know who I am and I don't need to react to whatever you tell me I am. If I don't know who I am, then I will react. Okay? So that's, another way of talking about the spiritual path is to know thyself, to find out who you really are. Find yourself. And who is that self is not the self of the ego, the personality based on comparison to society, but it's just knowing that this is my essence. There are so many words we use to describe it, and every word doesn't quite hit the mark, but we keep trying. So it's your essence, it's your being, it's your presence. It's that part of you that is always there, behind everything. It's the observer, but it's what's behind the observer. It's the awareness, but it's more relaxed than the awareness. It's just your consciousness, just your being. All right? Now that, if we can rest in that state, or if we can be in that state of more consciousness, then it's the key. It's the key to get out of all our suffering. It's the key to be ourselves. It's the key to all spiritual development. Okay? So we don't need to get rid of the ego. We need to be conscious of the ego, because the ego will always take us away from our true self. And ego will always lead to more and more suffering. So don't get rid of the ego, but try to use it as a constant theme of meditation. Who is it in me that is reacting? If it's a reaction, it's my ego. And if it's my ego, it's going to cause more suffering. Even if I feel happy today, why am I happy? Oh, is it because I got what I wanted? And desire is also part of the ego. Oh, I feel, life is good, I'm happy, I'm getting what I want. Then we have to question, who is it that wants something? Right? Is it your being or is it your ego? The ego is always going to cause you to suffer. And the being is always going to cause you to feel happy. Real happiness, joy, bliss, peaceful, beyond words. It's just consciousness.